we'll see how, so the first thing, and I already out of the gate have, first of all, I didn't know we were being videotaped, so watch everything we say, we're on the interactive portion of the morning. And number two, I was gonna have the kids sit over there, and the adults, and so, no, you're not in the wrong place. This, you plan something out that never unfolds how you go with the flow. So I'm glad you're all here. My name is Don Kearley, I've been here with Emmanuel for a long time, heading up different Bible studies, and the thing that's probably most near and dear to my heart is apologetics. Equipping people. So I came to faith in Christ in 1994, just turned 28 years old, and for about a year before, I've been exploring Christianity through things that my wife told me. You know what? You need to get right as a father, right as a husband, and I started looking at Christianity. Was exposed to a Christian ministry, and right out of the gate, I had a lot of questions, such as, there's a lot of other religions in the world. Think you have the truth of Christianity, and so I said, and then as David and Stephanie were 4 and 1 years old when I came to faith, and I realized as I got into grade school, the more you read, the more you study, that you are hit from every side, that your faith in God is not something you really depend on, and you get your legs cut out from underneath you. Come on in, and you are, and you know what, so when you're in high school, you don't have teachers, for the most part, overtly attacking the faith. So there's an undercurrent, okay? Many teachers in high school are Christian. But the academic structure is such that evolution, something like that, is absolutely fact. Okay, when you get to college, you will have professors who, just like the rest of us, who will love the Lord, and you will have some who really don't care. And you'll have some who are overtly attacking your faith. They will make it their job to drill out of you what you believe to be true about God, and what you believe to be true about the world. And so this study is all about answers, real answers, not entertainment, but knowing that there are real answers out there to the difficult questions of creation and evolution, of moral relativism, biblical truth, universalism. Jesus really is the unique Son of God, so that you can be trusting that the triune God really exists, that Jesus really did say what he was going to do, die for our sins on the cross to take care of our sin problem, rise from the dead to take care of our death problem, okay? And the fact that you can trust that this Bible here, right here, really is the Word of God, okay? And all the difficult, and I wrote the questions up here. Some of the top questions, the most difficult ones, is here on the bottom. These are things, that assertions that will be made, that you will be challenged, and that you will have to wrestle through and understand that there are really good answers. And then you can understand the fundamental purpose, which is to love one another and to love God. You're created with a special purpose, with special gifts, and those are not random accidents. You are not a random accident of evolution. And to that point, let's go ahead and we'll pray, and then we'll walk through this to kind of lay out how this morning and the next 7 weeks is going to go. Heavenly Father, you're a good and gracious God, and we are so very blessed to call you God. We are so very honored to call you God. Thank you for everything you've given to us in your Son. And help us to understand, all the kids here and all of the adults, when we have doubts, you do it. You understand them. And I just pray that every person in this room, by the power of your Spirit, will investigate themselves. When they come up, they would do an honest exploration of the truth. I am absolutely convinced that you have shown me and shown so many others that your word is true, the Bible we can trust, and that you are who you say you are, and that there are real answers out there. We just love you and thank you for this morning. We pray this all in Christ. Okay, so all the different things we're gonna wrestle with. These 7 weeks are broken down into 3 basic topics. Okay? Creation and evolution. Are you a random accident? Are you just molecules in motion? Or is there purpose to your life? Okay? Creation and evolution. And these correlate, by the way, I don't know if you've ever seen this, Romans 1, 2, and 3. Light of creation, the light of conscience, and the light of Christ. And these address our 3 topics for these next 7 weeks. Moral relativism. Can you know truth? Is there really truth? Or is everything relative? You just live by your own code, and I'll live by my own code. And maybe I become an Adolf Hitler, or maybe I become a Mother Teresa. Loving and serving or trying to wipe people out? What do I become if I'm making them more so? So then universally, is Jesus Christ really the unique Son of God? Is he really who he said he was? Is he really the way, the truth, and the life, and nobody comes to him except by his finished work on the cross? There are three things that we're going to hand out over the course of the next, or at the end of the study, which will guide you through the next 7 weeks. And the first one is this bookmark, and Julie made these and laminated them, so hopefully they'll stand the test of time. Stuff them in your Bible, whatever you pull them out. But for high school and college, and believe me, so growing up in the public school, being a nominal altar boy, Catholic, grew up in the Catholic Church nominally, went occasionally, maybe went 20 times in my entire childhood to church, and really not trusting these answers that the church had. Yeah, if everybody would sign in. We will come to understand that when you have questions and when you wrestle through these things, and a lot of you guys in high school, you aren't really front and center in your thinking. You're trying to figure out what group you're going to be a part of, how you handle the problems you have to face, how you're going to pass your chemistry test, how you're going to go ahead and pay for your gas for your car, the simple things, if you've got your driver's license. And I understand this isn't front and center. Where this will become front and center more than ever is when you head off to college. Because now you will be exposed to a myriad of worldviews. And that's a good thing. But if you're not well grounded, and this is the number one, so you know what the statistic is? 100% of the Christians in this church go to college. 75% of them will leave their faith, will jettison the faith for that period of college, and 2/3 of those kids, so that's 50%, 50 to 100 will never return to the faith. They will adopt another worldview because they'll say, you know what? So that means out of the 100 kids in this church, 1,000 kids, pick whatever number you want. Half of those will leave the faith, either because they really don't believe, never did believe, or they were convinced of another worldview. And so let's put every worldview to the test. And that's what I want to really discuss over the time. So this handout will go ahead and be something that we'll walk through for the 7 weeks, those three topics. And just to give you a little bit of an overview of where we'll be, kids, all of you who are normally with John Gray will be with him for October 27th to December 1st. Today is more of a monologue. I want to lay this out for you, what we're really looking at. Ask and answer a few questions between us, but the next 6 weeks will be me here with the adults, wrestling through these topics, every single one of them, creation and evolution, moral relativism, and universalism. Okay? And then you guys, the kids, will be with John, and John Boone may join, but David's has been doing this for a long time. And John and David were teaming up so that they could, David at 31 is a lot better, to relate to you and kind of be connected to where you're at than I am. So I think you guys will be equipped with what they have to bring to the table. And with that said, John and David are going to give a couple of remarks on what they want to try to get out of this study with you guys. So John, I'll turn it over to you first.
All right, and I'm going to say we're not going to record everything. We are going to record the kids section so that also watch or kids that work at today. We work a lot of Sundays. We're going to do a big on like our part. Yeah, we'll cut out the part. If you don't know, I'm the director here. So much of I didn't grow up in a Christian. I grew up in a Christian household by name. We didn't go to church. I believe in God. Since coming to my faith, I realized what I meant, and so that's what I got. David?
Hi everyone, I'm Dave Griffith, so I'm fun. having gone through this, my dad is pretty well equipped to answer some of these questions. That's what I really want to pass on. They can review these questions as they come their way and know that it's not always on them to have to respond to it. I think our immediate defense is when somebody throws something out there, we feel like we have to argue against it as opposed to having them actually validate the proof claims that they out there. That's one major point. I've also gone through a couple of adult studies and all this stuff, apologetics. There's been a lot of Ravi Zacharias podcasts, if anybody's familiar with Ravi. And yeah, really what I want to pass on to the kids is to equip them answers to these questions so that they know that it's not just blank space. It's actually a reason, space plus reason, for what we believe, why we believe it. And then I want to encourage the kids to find Christian friends or Christian groups on their off attitude because that's good. Look forward to working with you.
Thanks, David.
Okay, so one of the takeaways you're going to have today is actually a takeaway, this resource today. Some of you won't be back. Normal nutrition and Bible study. We may have new people in and out throughout the week. But once again, we'll hand this out at the end, resource board, that will go ahead and address the various sources, and most importantly, websites for you guys. Books and paper, you're not so much in touch with anymore. And there is so much social media beyond my comprehension that you guys are exposed to, and in the myriad of worldviews. And it's probably very different than when I was even in high school or college, is what you are presented with just through social media, because now everybody's in touch. And so you are seeing being exposed to a lot of these, and we'll walk through these questions and say, this is what we hold as a truth claim that hold up. So let's start with the biggie. These three areas. Evolution. Foundation issue, truly, atheism and is interwoven with evolution, macroevolution. Okay? And today, what we go over and talk about, we're going to get into specific, give you some specific challenges and answers. Okay? And then we're really going to unpack those in the next 15 minutes. But this is really the biggie because it is the foundation. If God doesn't exist, if you are truly, if you're familiar with the Big Bang Theory, old Earth, young Earth, we'll talk more about all this stuff, and inflationary theory and how all this stuff works, cosmology, astrophysics, and the origin of the universe, how do you answer Darwinian macroevolution naturally? Okay? And when you have somebody who says, we evolved from a single cell organism, that's the most common thought in college now, right? Absolutely. You go into molecular biology, you want to be a biologist, you want to go into medicine. David and Josh's sister, 27, his two daughters, she's starting nursing school. She and I have had multiple conversations in the last couple of months about biology and single-celled organisms that we came from. And our professor addressed it directly, head on in one of our early classes. But I'm not going to use the C word, creation, or the E word, evolution. It's like I'm not going there because it immediately comes up. Well, you're going to be presented with that, and how are you going to deal with it? So this is really one of the core issues, and this is an appeal to your soul. This is an appeal to the heart. Is really, are you a random accident come about by random chance, or were you purposefully designed? Okay, that is the core question. And when you sort that out, you can go through all of the others, and we're going to hit this morning for 15, 20 minutes, evolution. And we'll hit a little bit on moral relativism and universalism. And I want to throw this out there real quick. Could you guys, any of the teenagers, any of the young adults, could you tell me what moral relativism is? What do we even mean by that? Any adults define it? What is moral relativism? What do we even mean when we're saying that?
right for you isn't necessarily what's right for me.
Who makes the rules and what rules do we live by? And here's the number one thing you're going to hear about moral relativism. They're culturally defined. Every culture defines their own morals, right? And so that, and we'll discuss in length where that holds up and where that breaks down, okay? So, but if you are a random accident, guess what? The cultural relativists are absolutely right. Every culture just has to define their own culture. There's no outside reference that's going to tell us what is right and wrong or what's already written on the heart, right? Okay. So that's really, once again, evolution is the core issue. So one of the things I want you to consider as you go through these topics, as you go through everything with the 3 topics over the next 7 weeks, today and the following 6 weeks, is anybody heard of J. Warner Wallace? He is an apologist. You absolutely need to go to his website, Cold Case Detective, Cold Case Christianity. He came to faith at the age of 45, somewhere around there. He's been a Christian for about 15, 20 years. He investigated cold case homicides in Los Angeles. And his father did the same thing, and it's running the line police work. And he was challenged with the claims of Christianity, C.S. Lewis and the other great thinkers of the faith, okay? And he went ahead and he took all of the forensic guidelines that he uses to apply to a murder case, an unsolved cold case. And he goes through, and they're fascinating. He's on 48 hours, 60 minutes, all this stuff. And he applied all of these rules, the science of forensics in police work, and being a detective, and he applied it to Christianity. He said, absolutely, the Bible is the Word of God. Absolutely, there's more evidence historically for the resurrection of Jesus Christ than any other historical event of antiquity. And he applied, and it's amazing. J. Warner Wallace, Cold Case Christianity. And one of his key things is, so here's what you're not going to do. You're not going to walk in to chemistry, your chemistry lab, and put a couple of chemicals together and say it turns blue and God exists. It doesn't work that way. It's the preponderance of evidence. And that's J. Warner Wallace. What is most reasonable? Lay it all out, put Christianity in the public court of opinion, put Buddhism and Hinduism and atheism and macroevolution and special creation, and which one has the strongest case. That's what we're doing here. We're not talking about something, once again, that we're going to put into a test tube and have it change color. Now, one thing I don't want to overstate, the hyperbole, is what you're going to face in college as far as professors. You're going to have a lot of wonderful professors. You're going to have some professors, once again, who are going to be antagonistic to the faith. How does an 18-year-old walking into college battle with a 45-year-old humanist professor who is an atheist, believes in Darwinian evolution, naturalism? You cannot do intellectual battle with that person. You certainly can't. That person has 30 more years of experience than you studying these subjects. And so you need to understand and have some basic arguments, some basic principles. And adults and parents, that's where we come in to be equipped as well to wrestle through these things. Here is the National Association Biology Teacher Statement. This is in most of the textbooks, whether it's in high school or college. The diversity of life, this is the official statement, the diversity of life on Earth is the outcome of evolution, an unsupervised, impersonal, unpredictable, natural process. So when you're in your science class, whether it's primarily biology, but all your other science classes, that is the underpinning philosophy coming into it. And we'll unpack that. Well, Philip Johnson, who's the person on this resource list, law professor in Berkeley, California, brilliant guy. He wrote a book called Defeating Darwinism by Opening Your Mind. He wants you to open up your mind and learn as much as you can about these subjects so that you can be equipped to understand the presuppositions, the assumptions that are in a statement like that. Unsupervised, impersonal, unpredictable natural process. And that means God's not part of the equation whatsoever. It's simply to take him out, a priori, right out of the gate. Okay? So, as we look at these things and you get into specific of these topics, there are three, as far as our origin, where we came from, there are three major topics. Macroevolution is Darwinian evolution, naturalism. All there is the material universe. Okay? We'll get a little more specific in each slide. So that's the overview. That single-celled organism became some type of a creature in the primordial soup, climbed out on land, eventually became a four-legged animal, and eventually became feathers to fly, and eventually became a bipedal primate, and eventually became a, right? So as the expression goes, from you by way of you to the zoo. That's Frank Peretti. That's what you are, the random accident from the goo, and here you are, okay? From monkey to man. And that's macroevolution. What we observed with Darwin on the HMS Beagle in the 1800s, observed when he went on exploration to the Galapagos Islands. He explored all of the animals, I mean, finch beaks and the moths. We saw that moths over the course of the years changed colors to adapt to their environment, and that the beaks on the finches got longer and shorter depending on how much water there had been, and there was a good supply of bugs for the first beak. And if there was a short supply, because there's been a drought, then the finch beaks got longer. That's macroevolution. That's why some people are white, some people are black, some people are yellow, some people are brown, and some people are red, right? Okay? We adapt to our environment. Eskimos up in the north who are in the cold, see a lot less sun, are much different than the exposure of the sun in the Polynesian or the African continent. Okay? So that is absolutely observable. Microevolution change within a species. But what you don't get is that a moth becomes an elephant, okay? Or that a frog becomes a tiger. Those, one species does not become another species. And I will tell you that there is beyond measure substantial evidence that Darwinian evolution, as it is laid out, which is absolutely accepted in higher academics, is not supportable. And that's what we want to go ahead and unpack. Theistic evolution. This is God-honoring Christians different. Some believers in God believe that God used evolution to bring us about. He used the form of this, that one species, single-cell organism, would eventually become us. I don't believe it. I don't think theistic evolution works because Darwinian evolution as a hypothesis failed. Well, we'll talk more about that. But you will see some of the theistic evolution work. Well, couldn't God have used evolution? That is an absolute logical possibility. The question is, J. Warner Wallace, right? Back to our full case detective. Does the evidence support it? What is the preponderance of evidence? Okay? So, I have a question. I'm going to throw it out to the kids right now. When you hear something like this, how would you answer this? If this comes up, okay, I'll grant to you, God created me. So then, who created God? If you haven't heard that question, I heard that from David and Stephanie when they were young, Josh as well. How do you answer that? I'm going to challenge you right now. So now the other part of the brain is engaged, right? Here we go. How do you answer that? If God created me, created you, who created God? And these guys know the answer because we spent the last year and a half going over it. It's not an easy one. I've done youth conferences with Pheasant Run, had 300 kids in the auditorium, talking to them, and these questions come at you. And, I've heard that one before. What do you do? Anybody have an answer? A hard one. These will come at you. And these are the ones, these are the things that you will face. Anybody hazard them? Okay. It's the category confusion. If somebody says this to you, if God created man, who created God? You say to them, what is the color blue think of? And they immediately get. Or can God make a square circle? The category confusion. You have right here finite, and here you have infinite, who exist in 10 dimensions, and we exist in 3 dimensions plus time. Okay? By the way, you guys wouldn't want to see my grades in high school. who would want to see my ACT or my SAT score? My point is, I'm an average academic student. And you guys, I know a lot of you are in chemistry and physics, calculus, and higher level English courses, taking rhetoric and things like that. This stuff is not hard. Don't ever be intimidated by it. And I know a lot of you students, and I know a lot of what your academic capabilities are. Please don't ever be intimidated by apologetics. This is extremely easy. The hardest part of apologetics is logic. We are very lazy thinkers, okay? We are a disposable society. We're a soundbite society. This all started to change with the Nixon and Kennedy debate. And Nixon did not look as good as Kennedy, and it became more of a perception of a person. And obviously on social media, we became less and less capable. If you look at commercials, all you have to do is history of commercials. Commercials used to be a minute to a minute and a half long. Now most commercials are 15 seconds. That's where we're at. We're lazy thinkers, okay? We have so much we have more information at our fingertips than we've ever had before. And we don't know how to process and line it up, okay? So don't ever be intimidated by that. It's all very, very, very easy stuff once you spend a little time. So here are the arguments. I preface that with these three basic arguments. We're just an evolutionary, okay? Creation, evolution. Cosmological, teleological, and moral arguments. If you understand these three, you will be able to answer everything. You will be able to give a loving answer. And by the way, 1 Peter 3:15 says, be ready to set Christ apart as Lord. Be prepared to give an answer for the faith and the hope you have, and do it with gentleness and respect. So the first thing you have to buy into is there are good answers for God, that you believe what your parents taught you, what John's teaching you, what your pastor's teaching you, that God really does exist. And God exists for the essence. He's an eternal being, right? Back to our category confusion. If God created me, who created God, what does the color blue taste like? This is using categories. God isn't created, he's an eternal being, he's an uncreated being. That's cosmological argument. Okay? So the cosmological argument, the way you can remember this is cause and effect. Cause. Once you associate the two, cosmological argument, you don't have to use those terms. You have to have this in your file cabinet in one of your file banks. So when it comes up and somebody says, well, God, matter is eternal. Okay? So let me throw this out there. If you go with the natural Darwinian, and by the way, get into young Earth, old Earth today. We'll talk about this. And I'm a young Earther on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and old Earther Tuesdays, Thursdays, and weekends, right? This is from some of the smartest apologists, Norm Geisel, who recently passed away. It's a hard subject, old Earth, young Earth. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about that. But when you remember these things, where did everything come from? Okay, so go with Darwinian, naturalistic. Naturalism is just that all that there is the material universe. There's nothing else, right? So matter is eternal. If you go with that premise, and you hold on to the Big Bang Theory in that sense, 13.8 billion years ago, the universe was created out of an unsupervised, unintelligent, no mind involved, nothing sprang into something, okay? That's the premise. And there are all kinds of theories, multiverse, okay? Parallel universes, I think that's the biggest one right now. We can tell you a great clip from Stephen Colbert, who has the leading proponent on this theory, okay? So if you go with that, where did that matter come from? Where did that matter come from? And somebody will say, well, there's expanding and collapsing universe. Okay? That's the most common theory now. Is the universe, can you even comprehend how big the universe is? Okay? So if you go on one of those websites where you can scroll up from largest all the way to the size of the universe, and you can scroll down to quarks and all those other things. And if you really get an understanding, the universe is 12.5 billion light years across, that's what they say. And it collapses and expands, and it's been doing this for eternity. Okay? We'll talk about infinite regression and how difficult that concept is, but that it we'll get into that in a little bit. But this rubber ball right here is the principle that explains why the multiverse theory, you watch Men in Black or any of these other UFO movies, and they explore this question, okay? Why this rubber ball is the greatest example of why the universe can't be eternal. Cause and effect. Something eternal, someone eternal, had to cause the universe. And it's the rubber ball principle. What's happening with the rubber ball? Losing energy. So the universe cannot infinitely collapse and expand, collapse and expand, collapse and expand. Second law of thermodynamics. We'll get into more detail, but that has to do with the cause and effect argument. Teleological argument. Complexity requires design. Bad things don't come about by random accident. And moral argument. There has to be a reference. So, cosmological argument, cause and effect. As we look at this, once again, nothing produces nothing. Julie Andrews said it in Sound of Music. Nothing produces nothing. Nothing ever has, nothing ever will. That is where you have to go. You have to have that nothing produced something. A finite or an eternal matter, point of density, exploded into being. Okay, and are there quantum mechanics answers to this? Quantum theories that will answer this? Maybe, but that's a possibility. But you'll find that it is not easily answered. One thing I want to throw out, what's in younger and older, the factor of 10 to the 9th power, 10 to the 3rd power. You're a younger than you hold the universe has been created in the last 10,000 years. Okay? If you're an older third, you would say that the universe came into being 13.8 billion years ago, that's the latest number. And the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Okay? Pick one, whatever. For life to come into being, nothing produces nothing. Theorists, statisticians say that it would take 10 to the 80th power. That's 10 with 80 zeros. This is 13 with 9 zeros after it. Right? 9 places to the decimal. A young earther, an old earther, whatever you may be, we differ of a factor of only 6. It is not anything to divide over. I absolutely believe it. It's an in-house debate. We can have it, younger or older. Okay? And I've talked to a lot of people. I've wrestled back and forth. I read all the young earthers early on in my walk, and all the old earthers. You know, I'm swayed one way, but it really doesn't matter at the end because this is the real cogent point. This is the salient issue. Matter is eternal, or something that is eternal, someone created everything. Okay? So, to hold on to it, that's cosmological argument. Second law of thermodynamics is the bullet to the head of evolution. And the slide, has entropy blasting through Darwin's theory. Here's the problem. So, parents, what is the greatest example of entropy that you have at your house? Your kid's bedroom. Okay? Things tend from order to disorder. Okay? And every time I'm out working on the house, fixing the gutters, and then the carpenter ants will come back in and are eating holes, and I've got soft places inside of the fascia board, and I can push my finger through it because I've eaten it. Everything tends from order to disorder. That's entropy. Second law of thermodynamics. Any of you go into any level of engineering, especially physics, you'll learn about the first and second law of thermodynamics. I never had that. I didn't take that class. But you can study it and understand the basic principles. The universe is running down like a clock. And as the universe runs out of energy, usable energy, it will at some point experience heat death. Cold. The sun is going to, and it will go supernova, our sun will at some point, and all this stuff. And that's the universe is running down. Okay? So why does the universe seem to have incredible order? We talked about that. The universe had a beginning. We know that. This was huge. This is what Einstein wrote. His theory of relativity and everything that went with that is Was the universe static or was it fluid? Okay? Was it stationary and it was just, or was it, and it's proven just like a balloon. Take a balloon, if you understand inflationary theory, universe, Big Bang. Take a balloon, put dots on it, and then blow it up, and that's what our universe is doing. It's the dots are moving further apart. The planet, the galaxies are in the universe is stretching out. The only holy book in the world that talks about that is the Bible. The time had a beginning. There are 2 verses right there. I have right here the Bhagavad Gita, the Buddhist scriptures, the New World Translation from the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Book of Mormon from Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. I have the Quran. I have the Doctrine, Pearl of Great Price and Doctrine and Covenants from Mormonism. Christian Science, Mary Baker Eddy and what her take on it. All these holy books. I even have Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible. Okay, there's a good thing to read it. That's pretty good, right? Anton LaVey. And he took and he perverted everything in the scripture, and he turned it into kind of a pagan priestess sect cult, is what he did. Anton LaVey. And he was a very, very smart guy and lived in Southern California, and he wanted to throw Christianity on its head. So he perverted everything. He was also extremely smart, and he went through and took our arguments and flipped them on their head. Okay? How do you do? Some people actually follow it, or maybe Wicca or what have you. Not one of those books has time having a beginning. Scientifically, we know time began. Time is the 4th dimension. Height, width, and depth is our spatial dimension, and time is the 4th dimension. And then they've discovered through mathematical formulas dimensions 6 through 10. You know, I usually use a basketball, but if you get into, I believe it's 6th dimension mathematically, you can take this baseball and you could turn it inside out without cutting it, without no incision. In 6th dimension of space, you could turn this inside or out. You rough, I don't remember, 5 or 6 dimensions. But when you get into that, they actually had an illustration on a website that showed you mathematically how it works, kind of like a blueprint of a house, and how it all. When you get well, so now they've proven there's 10 dimensions of time, right? String theory and all that. Well, the Bible is the only holy book in the world that actually corresponds with the fact, as Isaiah said, the heavens are being stretched out like a tent. That's exactly what's happening. The time has a beginning. Once again, it's a dimension in and of its own. So you can have faith that goes into truth. Teleological argument. Okay? Teleology just means design. And that design, okay, this is one of the simpler arguments. When I take a watch, quite literally, I don't like breaking, we break these, maybe David and John and John Brewer will do this illustration for you.
We'll break one. We'll break one.
When you break it, you hammer, put it in the box, shake it up, and they'll make an illustration. $8 watch from Walmart. Okay? You know how much design went into this? The complexity to make this thing tick off 60 seconds a minute, 60 minutes an hour, 24 hours a day. Even got a little window, a window for the date and time. Do you know the complexity that's involved in this? So the watchmaker argument. There's, and evolution has one, and we have Mona Lisa. Okay, when an artist creates something, you see their particular fingerprints upon that creation. Boeing 747. It's stated that evolution is the belief that a tornado came through a junkyard, and out the other side came a Boeing 747. Okay, that's what I mean. That's 10 to the 80th power. That's 10 to the. That is beyond what is capable of happening in the time we've had. By the way, if you're an old earther, 13.8 billion, or if you're a young earther, 10,000, neither one of them is enough time for Darwinian naturalistic evolution to happen as it's described. Okay? You need somewhere in the 10 to the 50th and 10 to the 80th power. Once again, it's probable statisticians talk about. Well, my question is, who is the person So there are all kinds, so theorists and statisticians, Urey and Miller and other people did experiments of how you could create life in the lab, okay? And they lay out probabilities, and they've taken all the factors of the chemistry, of the organic material, of time that it takes for, well, so you know what evolution is? Evolution says that you had these chemicals coalesce together. You had a simple single-cell organism, and then eventually, through mutation, natural selection, it mutated out the bad things and kept the good things. As Philip Johnson points out, the step-by-step process of mutation actually kills the organism. It doesn't enhance the organism. I'll give you an example. So what they do is they lay all this out, and this will be in all the books and the resources, and it gets very, very technical. But they lay out the probability of, let's say, the variations in the feline category, from a simple domestic cat to a tiger. How did they become those microevolutionary differences in the feline family, or the canine family, from the wolves to the dogs, a house pet? Where did those? What are the probabilities of the variations and mutations and things like that? We're learning more and more through genetic study. So they assign probability. Don't forget, we don't even know what this number is.
That was one of my questions, that that's probably nothing, something coming from nothing.
Right?
But when you think about it, that can be probably.
Exactly. And that's the point. The point is you get above the probability of something happening, 10 to the 40th power or something like that. Let me give you an example that goes with something like 10 to the 80th power. The gambler's fallacy. If you were playing cards, you were playing poker, kids don't raise your hands to play poker. In college, you probably play a lot of poker, right? Okay. So, if you play poker, what are the odds of you getting a royal flush? It's like 1 in 18 million, something like that, right? Whatever the number is. What are the odds of you getting 2 royal flushes in a row? You sit down with your buddy, you get your hard-earned money from college, or the money your parents sent you, and you're throwing it in the middle of the table, okay? And your buddy across the table gets a royal flush. Your mind is blown. It's like seeing a hole in one wall. You're like, whoa, I have never seen a royal flush. Now, it's like, okay, you're a lucky son of a gun. Pull the money out of the pot, you put it in your pocket. And now John's sitting across from this guy, and you deal the card to get the second royal flush. What are you going to say to him? You're cheating, right? And if you're in the Wild West and you get the third royal flush, you're going to shoot him, right? Because he's cheating. I want my money back. You don't even understand odds. Here's another example. I think 10 to, this ties to Messianic prophecy. 10, it's in this book, Joshua McDowell, Ready to Defend. It's like 10 to the 18th power or something. Is the equivalent of taking a stack of quarters in the state of Texas, 3 feet high. Now I'm getting the numbers wrong, but this is theory. You can look in Ready to Defend to get the exact number. And you painted one of those quarters red, and you buried it in the state of Texas, and it's 3 feet high. And you had one chance, blindfolded, to walk around Texas and grab those right quarters out of those 10 to the 18th power of quarters. Well, that's 10 to the 18th power. That's your odds. And would you want to bet your life on that? Well, now take 10 to the 80th, or whatever it is, for evolution to happen. My point is, this is the moral of the story, 13.8 billion years is not long enough. It's nowhere near long enough. That's 9 zeros after the 13. You need 80 zeros after the 13, after the 10. You need so much time that it's simply not possible. It actually is relegated to the number 0. Okay? That's where you look at everything around us. This eraser, this marker, the carpet down here, the air conditioning system, the window, everything is designed. And then when we come to the human eye, we say it's a random accident. You are a random accident. You are a mutation. Your eye mutated over years, photosensitive cells that became the living eyes that you have today. Right? That's the teleological argument. And whether it's a simple watch, which is significantly less complicated. Just a simple little device compared to the human eye. And Darwin, he said, suppose that the eye, with all its inimitable contrivances for adjusting the focus to different distances, for admitting different amounts of light, and for the correction of spherical and chromatic aberration, could have been formed by natural selection, seeing, I freely confess, absurd in the highest degree possible. Darwin was a very honest man. His family was religious growing up. He was going to go to seminary. He got disillusioned for different reasons we can talk about later. But bottom line is, he dove into this topic with all his heart. And then when he wrote The Origin of the Species, there you went. We, mankind, who wants to rebel against God, grabbed onto it. Okay? So that's the teleological argument. And here's another simple illustration. Norm Geisler used to give this. He'd say, if you're walking along in the woods and you find a ball, a glass ball, and you would say that was created by accident, by random natural forces, or some intelligent mind designed that and created it, and here it is. You take a ball. This is 9 inches in circumference. Make this ball bigger, the basketball. Maybe that's 20 or 30 inches in circumference. I'm not sure what it is. Make the ball bigger, okay? Make the size of the state. Make it the size of a continent. You would still say that it needs to be designed. But then when we get to the size of the Earth, 24,000 miles in circumference, or the size of the universe, we say, oh, that's accident. That wasn't designed. Where do we get this breakdown? Okay? Well, we get that breakdown because presupposition. We want the evidence to point where we want the evidence to point. Okay? So exquisite design. And this is the key part with Michael Behe from Lehigh University. Wrote a book, Darwin's Black Box. Okay? I've listened to many podcasts with him. Brilliant guy. Sometimes it's very technical. Irreducible complexity. All irreducible complexity is a mousetrap. There are 5 major pieces to this. You got the catch, you got the base, you got the arm that snaps, you got the spring that gives it tension, and you have the bait holder. Okay, 5 pieces. If you have any one of these 5 pieces missing, do you have a working functioning mousetrap? Nope. Okay. You don't, right? Take away the trap. You're never going to get the arm to set. Take away the spring. You don't have any tension to have the trap snap over when the catch is released, right? Mousetrap is a great example of irreducible complexity. They have now, with the advances in science and medicine, they have learned so much, and the deeper we go into the biology of the cell, they now see what Darwin in his day, he said, hey, it was a simple cell. That's why they said it was just a simple single-cell organism. They didn't understand the complexity. There are inside just one cell in your body, entire factories of mechanical motions going on, with little flotilla pieces that are arms that are engineering marvels that actually allow some of the function between the RNA and the DNA to interact together to give the system, your body, what it needs. And they are diving, and he called it irreducible complexity. He said that you can't take away one of these components in a single cell and have a cell. It doesn't exist. You don't take away 5% of your eye and still have vision. Okay? You don't get 5% of the eye at the beginning of the macro step-by-step evolutionary process and have a little bit of sight, a little bit of vision. You don't get to 25% of the eye and have more vision. You can't break it down that way. And that's his point. And these are molecular biologists and people who study this, who, when you go through, you will see, have incredible, and I'm just boiling down to things that I can understand. The mousetrap is a great example of why you need to have the components there. There go, special creation. You need these pieces to be in place. By the way, it is absolutely a possibility that God does not exist. It is absolutely a possibility that macroevolution is true. Okay? okay? It is absolutely possible God does exist and he used evolution as the process to bring us about today. But then you have that, once again, weigh all the evidence. What is the preponderance of evidence? And I'll talk a little bit about C.S. Lewis in a moment as I close. But we've got to put all the possibilities on the table and see which one makes the most sense. So, universalism. This one I'll be very quick on. You have all the religions in the world. And David referred to it earlier. You have to apply the law of non-contradiction to creation and evolution. You've got to apply it to religious claims. So let me give you one example. In our Bible, we all know that it says Jesus died on the cross, right? In the Quran, it says he did not die on the cross. We have a fundamental difference. We have a truth claim that we now have to explore. And how do we do that? We're going to study even more. I gave you the fancy term up there, self-stultification, self-defeating argument. Here's what I want you to understand. And you don't have to be crusty about it when you deal with people. To be loving, you should be loving. You should be respectful. So Peter 3:15. You should approach each other. But don't for a moment just buy people's arguments because they sound fancy and use big words, right? Challenge be a skeptic. Don't be skeptical. Don't be skeptical in the classical sense. We'll talk more about that. But be skeptical about people's truthfulness. Say, you know what? You're making a truth claim. I just listened to 2 debates this week on atheism and Christianity. The atheist and the leading debater on all of this, we're talking about moral argument, is William Lane Craig. You just Google and you can find, and I've listened to about 5 of his debates. His most famous debate was against Frank Zindler at Wall Street Church back in the 90s. And in that, William Lane Craig says, because atheism says we don't make a claim about God. Well, every assertion is a truth claim. I say there's purple polka dotted teeth on Mars. Disprove me. That's a truth claim. Okay? So how do you disprove that? So whenever anybody makes a truth claim, turn it on itself. And I'll give you an example of that in a moment. But turn every truth claim on itself and challenge those assertions. The key thing with with universalism is that it's basically an attack on Jesus and that he is not the only way to God. If God exists, God has revealed himself in many different ways, right? There are many paths to God, not just Christianity. You're going to have to deal with that. Or as Jesus, as John 14:6 says, the way and truth and life, and no one comes to the Father but by him. Acts 4:12. There's no other name under heaven by which we can be saved except Jesus Christ. Does God exist, and does he really exist in the triune form? Right? Is he a Trinity? So, when you look at all of those things, and you go through the 3 major worldviews that deal with universalism, atheism, there's no God at all. Theism, God made all. And pantheism, God is all. Pantheism is the East, Hinduism, Buddhism, things like that, right? And the New Age. And one of the things you want to understand is with atheism, it's not a tenable position because you don't possess all knowledge. We're limited in our knowledge. So a more tenable position is agnosticism. Somebody who says, I don't know. And then you find out if somebody's an honest skeptic or a dishonest skeptic. An honest skeptic says, I don't know and I'm willing to look at evidence. Or someone who doesn't want to have any of the evidence presented to them because I'm set in my ways. And that's our first reaction to human beings. And our last category is moral relativism. Who makes the rules? Okay? Questions like truth is relative. No one religion has the truth. That's an extremely common point. Okay? No one religion has the truth. You guys maybe all have a part of it. But look at the bad things Christianity did. You don't have all the truth. You did a crusade. I mean, how do you handle them? How do you handle this difficult question? So you really have the question of, do we have ethics apart from the Bible? Okay, cultural relativism, or maybe Islam is correct. Maybe we should follow the guidelines of Islam. So wrestling through those topics and seeing whether we get ethics from the Bible. And this is the biggie right here. Once again, I've said it many times. Define cultural. That's how we get our morals. each society comes up with their own set of rules. Here's the problem. If I have a yardstick, here's a rule, okay? I have a ruler that's a foot long. If I have a yardstick, it's 3 of these, it's 3 feet long. You know, in Washington, D.C., there's a platinum yardstick. In the Department of Weights and, in the Department of Weights and Measures, and kept in a vacuum sealed container so that it doesn't expand or contract, even a fraction of an inch. And all yardsticks, so when you go to buy a yard of cloth, what if you went to over to Hobby Lobby and went to buy a yard of cloth that was this long? You say, I don't think so. I'm getting ripped off. I'm paying for a yard of cloth, 3 feet, and I'm getting 1 foot. Well, no, but Hobby Lobby made their own yardstick, and their yardstick is this thing. Okay? So, why do we have that in the Department of Weights and Measures? Because all yardsticks will be the correct length, so you can know when you go that that's what it's been measured against, a point of reference. That's what morals is. If you don't have everything relative to something standard that doesn't change, then you have something you can trust. And there goes the need for a standard that is rooted in that. This is one of the books. You probably won't see this book. You will absolutely see the byproducts of this book. Joseph Fletcher and situation ethics. Situation determines what you do. Okay? And he said that you have to determine what situation, what truth you're going to apply, because all truth is relative. So when I say all truth is relative, you apply this right here. What's wrong with this statement? That is a self-defeating statement. Can anybody pick it up?
It's a truth statement.
What's that?
It's a truth statement in and of itself.
Okay, and where is it wrong?
It uses the word truth, because truth basically means that there's a standard, and if you have no standard, then you can't use the word truth.
Yeah. So what's the most succinct way we can turn this all truth is relative statement on its head? You ask the question back to them, is that statement true or relative? It's not easy to see until something. I've been looking at this when I came to faith in '94. I started listening to these things, and I heard this. It took me 10 years to get this concept right here, the self-defeating argument. It wrapped my mind around it. It took 10 years listening to the stuff in the car. You're not going to get it right away. That's why John and David are going to hammer this with you guys, okay, in ways that you'll like and smile, because this is a monologue. You know, I apologize. It's a lot of information I'm throwing at you. It's going to become overwhelming. But when you take this, all truth is relative. Is that true, or is that a relative statement? Why should I follow that, right? Okay. So as you get into all of these, and we'll talk more about this later. I want to get to the end. And this is the appeal. Earthrise. This is one of the most famous pictures in United States history. This was the Apollo 8 mission, December 4th, 1968. And this is what C.S. Lewis refers to. We desire that which we yearn for. We yearn for love. We yearn for between a husband and a wife, a man and a woman, intimacy. We desire sexual intimacy and loving physical touch in a healthy, loving way, right? We desire respect. We desire truth. We desire people to treat our property with respect. We desire all these things. C.S. Lewis said, we desire for that which is attainable. And here's the biggest desire of all. You walk out on a starry night. I don't know how many of you have been to Montana, or you got, the first time I ever saw Orion's Belt in the Astro was on a lake in Indiana, and I looked up and it took my breath away. Why did you take the breath away? Why do you stand in awe? When watching something on the Discovery Channel or National Geographic and they explore the expanse of the universe and it blows your mind. We can't even wrap our mind around about how big this galaxy, Milky Way galaxy is. It is so enormous, and it takes your breath away. Psalm 119 talks about the heavens declaring the glory of God. It's expansive universe. So the Apollo 8 mission, the second crewed mission of the Apollo program, is the first mission to go to the moon and circle around the moon. And of course, it was Apollo 11 that ended up landing on the moon. And this crew consisted of Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and Bill Andrews. And as they headed to the moon, the 6-day mission included circling the moon. And when they came around the moon for the first time, the dark side of the moon, they came around and they saw this, it was called Earthrise. It was a very poor picture because you don't get the blue and the white, it's washed out. But Ravi Zacharias writes that the American astronauts were the first ones to go around the dark side of the moon, and the rockets were fired on the homeward journey. And as they rounded the moon, they were about to get a glimpse of the universe that has not been given to any other human eye. They saw it rise over the horizon of the moon, great and beauteous mixture of blue and white, garlanded by glistening light of the sun against the black void of space. And as they experienced this view, they experienced that which no lyricist, no scientist, no historian give them the proper word. And in this book, he says that mission control, the normal background of hum, the activity, all ceased. All movement stopped, and all attention was on the TV in 1968. And Bill Andrews, one of the 3 astronauts, began reading softly. And he came around them. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and he went on to read them. Because, as C.S. Lewis says, he was seeing that which his heart yearned for. It took his breath away, the wonder of the universe. If you've seen the movie Contact with Jodie Foster about Carl Sagan, and wrestled with that very core question right throughout the whole movie. Is it Carl Sagan? The universe is a random accident, and that there's no meaning and ultimate meaning and purpose to it? Or is everything specifically footwork along? I close with this, and that is the reminder that when we share our faith with people, I want you to, number one, be equipped. I want you to absolutely, completely understand that you can have confidence in your faith. Okay? That the things that we hold true, that God exists, that the Bible really is the Word of God, that you can have faith in it. And now we're going to work on getting those answers. And if you share those answers with people, don't forget, because this last week as we finished Red Letter Challenge, Christianity is just one beggar telling another beggar where the food is. That's all it is. That's all we're sharing with people is the love of God, and we are in need desperately of God's love just as much as the atheist or the professor you'll come in contact with who doesn't want to include Christianity. So reach out a hand rather than dealing with blood. Okay? Always remember that. We are going to wrap up with a quick prayer at 10:35. Thank you for your patience. And then David and John are going to stand at the door and hand out these packets to you as you go. Make sure you all get a copy. And then I would also, kids, if we could maybe stack these red chairs in 3 piles of 10, and then we'll stack these chairs back on the cart. So let's pray and then we'll be done. Gracious Lord, you are a good and kind God. We love you so very much. We reflect that. Your existence, your awesome nature is beyond our comprehension. There's little glimpses we get in a loving relationship here on earth. It's so very precious. Thank you so much for that. Equip these young people, the teenagers. There are so many challenges. High school is the time of figuring out so many things who you are. Junior high and high school, and then college, you started to explore all the things of this world. Just equip them, Lord. It's not the fact that we don't make mistakes, that they won't make mistakes. It's the fact that you are a forgiving God, and we confess those to you and hold on to the truth in the midst of our brokenness and in the midst of our mistakes. Love you that you are God of second chances, and God who is eternal, to keep all of his promises.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
That was good.